Just so you know. There it is. Boom. The time has come once again. That was one of the most rapid live stream initiation processes ever. And so that is a very, very interesting moment. That means we must have been granted immediate entry by the AI Archon gatekeepers of the internet. Greetings, everyone. Hello out there, wherever you are in this strange realm. For those of you guys who don't already know, the first thing I'm going to do is click over on Facebook. We've got a dedicated team of, I think, 4 viewers that are going to find us on Facebook. So let me enable that live stream. Let me enable the Facebook live stream. Let us know where you are in the world as we get started. I think there it goes. Boom. Facebook has allowed us in. That's a trip. So we got instant access to the internet realm. But yeah, good to see you guys. I have to take a breath for a moment because it was already getting pretty heated in the pre-show talk between myself and Ileana. There was a number of just strange interactions and moments, and it's going to be a beautiful show tonight, you guys. Or today, I think it's afternoon for everyone else. But here on the East Coast, it's like as soon as it hits 3 o'clock, it's like midnight somehow, and I'm like, dude, when did that start? But anyway, come on in, guys. Greetings. I feel the collective throat chakra of everyone already. Or maybe that's just me because I've been talking all week already. So it's usually a good thing. It helps us kind of like work out all the kinks ahead of time. But good to see you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for rolling in. Greetings. Thank you, Adam Marquise, clearing some AI corruption. Hell yeah. Beautiful. Good to see you. Chiro Sounds. How's it going? Boom. Hello there. Stellar Shriner, what's going on? Greetings, everyone. We are back. I guess we're doing a thing on Wednesday right now. Hello, White Swan. How's it going? I know there are a few people. What's going on from New York? Thanks for hanging out. It feels like it's been a while since we've done a live, but really it's probably only been about a week to 10 days. But for some reason, I think a lot of us have shifted a timeline just in the past kind of time since, what we would call Thanksgiving here in the US. And just the energy before and after. And I guess we had some eclipses and a number of other things. And it's very palpable, I think, at certain stages of the journey where you will notice these like collective waves of energy. Then you'll kind of rise and fall with everyone and go through this strange journey. And I would say over the past, week to 10 days, it has been a very, very interesting journey in my own world. And a lot of you guys have been hearing me talk about this. I've been doing a lot of parasite cleansing, which is, it's just a thing that a lot of us do in cycles. And for anyone that really wants to go on an amazing ride, I hope this is not a disapproved word, but get yourself some fenbendazole because it's been incredible just helping already. I mean, it's also been very nausea inducing, but for those that are going through the parasite cleanse, fenbendazole is really, really cool. I hope you'll check it out. Hopefully that doesn't sink the stream. Although I don't think that's I don't hear anyone talking about it. So I don't think it's a disapproved word, but anyway, but yeah, it's been really strong and my face is extremely puffy, which for like a lot of us, you'll know like when you're having like a parasite die off, because parts of your body that never swell will suddenly start to swell in weird places. These weird rashes will kind of break out. And it's like, it's been a little bit of a crazy ride. Plus you'll get tons of really intense emotions. At least for me, that's usually where the parasite kind of path leads, where there's this weird, like, emotional purging that I'll do at strange times. And anyway, it has been an interesting last few days, but greetings everyone, come on in. So as you might have already heard, we have Ileana the Star Traveler here with us this evening, or afternoon, I guess if you want to call it. We're going to be talking about some interesting things in the realm of remote viewing, hopefully getting kind of some guidance from her in terms of how we can be better remote viewers, what the process looks like, how the process of remote viewing, in my opinion, and I think a lot of us, there's people that are self-taught like me. There's people that follow protocols and paths. There's people that have official training, and you'll notice there's a million different types. There's a million different schools of how to view things psychically. And I think for a lot of people, remote, the very the very concept or the term remote viewing is one that has many meanings. It's known in many different ways. And I think one of the things that makes Ileana unique is that she's very adept at looking at other timelines and other realms and some of the what I call the bizarre intricacies of the multidimensional realm. And so she's going to be coming on in just a few moments. But yeah, greetings. Yeah, totally. Lots of detox. It really is. You can tell, like, I go through these weird, crazy detox phases, which is probably a good thing, right, you guys? But it's like, whew, things get raw. For those of us out there that have done a real good detox cleanse, whew, you kind of do go crazy for a little while. Lots of intensity rolls through the body. It's an interesting process. You get crazy food cravings, like for sugar and stuff, as it kind of rolls through. Yeah, what's up, Tanya? Totally. Nuking the parasites here. Absolutely. You just have to go online and sort of, if Google's your thing, you can just like Google it. I'm like hesitant to kind of go into it on an official level here, just for the sake of, you never know how it is. As far as I can tell, that's an approved topic. So if it's not AI archons, I'm sorry. But yeah, please do check it out. It's definitely works. Cool. Thanks, you guys. And so a couple quick announcements before we kind of move forward. You will notice there is kind of the super chat thing that we have now for anyone that's into that option. I'm definitely not one of those people that's going to continually push it, but that is a good way. I believe if you do have a question or if you want to get through very, very directly during some of the shows, every now and then it's going to be useful. That is an option that is on the channel now. And also we have this membership thing. I don't know how it's going to work out. I'm being totally authentic. I you know what I mean? It's like a thing that they offer you at a certain point. And, in kind of the path of doing what I do, it was a choice that we made. And who knows, for anyone that wants to become a member of this channel, one of the things we are going to do when and if that happens is we're going to do sort of, like a private reading group or something that kind of just brings in more kind of in-depth interaction. So for anyone out there that's into that, it's definitely available. But I certainly don't want it to be like a focal point of this channel, because I always kind of cringe. For some reason, I'm just like one of those people that cringes when that becomes like the sort of focal point of people on like YouTube. And I think maybe that's a thing that I have to open myself to in some way. But anyway, so those things are definitely here for it. And I also want to open it up if anybody has any questions for us as we go through this. I'm trying to get better at kind of watching the question side, but anyway, boom. Thank you, Aurora Diamond Heart. Good to see you. And you're helping to remind me of the other announcement, which a lot of you guys have already heard about. You have heard this multiple times from myself and a whole weird little small group of other people in this social group or this soul group right now. And that is Starseed Adventures, which is coming up. I'm pretty sure it's next week. December 11th through the 16th, which is, it's essentially next week. Because first off, how the hell is it December of 2022? What kind of timeline acceleration process did we all sign up for this year? Because somehow the end of the year is here. But for those of you guys that don't already know, we're going to be gathering in Sedona, Arizona, December 11th through the 16th. Myself, Aurora Diamond Heart, our moderator, Ivan Teller, Laura Van Tyne, Abby Lynn, Jace Kulesa, Alexis Rose, my wife Honora, and I think I know all the people. And Siobhan Hill. Boom. I think I got everybody. I feel like I said all the names. There we go. I hope I did. But you guys can roll out to Sedona. If you're looking for a really extreme end of the year, last minute, super intense mission, meet us out there. Seriously though, I have no idea what's going to happen. I mean that in a really cool way. So anyway, there it is. Thank you. Boom. Thank you. So yeah, this is where you can find me December 11th through 16th, and you can finally come up to me and see if my earlobes are attached to the side of my head. That's how you'll know if I'm a clone, and they're definitely not, right? Isn't that one of the clone criteria, right? My earlobes are currently attached So it's still the organic version of me. So if you want to find out if I'm a clone or not, meet us in Sedona. But anyway, cool. So that said, we're going to go ahead and bring on our guest here tonight. She has been on the show before. And like I said, when I started kind of diving in to the intricacies of the strange world of the secret space program timelines and just some of the experiencers that I was very, very kind of taken by at the early stages of this journey. Ileana has been kind of like a person or a face that has persisted on the timeline for me, meaning we'll have many relationships and fascinations and understandings. We will move through many gateways of consciousness in kind of understanding and, you know, exploring the people and the experiences within our multidimensional soul group. Some of them will stay with us, some of them won't. And what I've noticed is that just over the years, since I want to say, so since like 2016, I think maybe in the background she'll know, I think maybe we had some conversations back in 2016. So it's been a little bit of a path, and for some reason she has remained on our timeline. And if you think about it, you guys notice how some people have not remained on your timeline, and yet she's still here. And so to me, I think that's a really good sign. And anyway, I'm definitely ranting. I'm sorry. Greetings.
Greetings.
I just get caught up in the moment and keep going. But how are you? Hello.
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Pretty good. It's been a wild past few weeks. We've all changed timelines. You've been viewing a number of crazy things, as I've heard.
Yeah, I'm on a journey of self-discovery. I like to look into many different things, experience many different things. I'm a researcher, psychic, remote viewer, also Akashic records reader, and a bunch of other things, crystal healer, shaman. So for me, it's exploring everything and having a bit of a look and a deep dive at everything that is in creation, available to look at, experience, explore, people, places, galactic stuff, anything and everything that comes up as something that needs attention and looking at. I definitely will take those missions on to do that work and be honest about the findings of what I'm exploring. That's why I speak publicly about many things.
Yeah.
And sometimes I do challenging life experience stuff that needs to be done. So I do it.
I feel you. Yeah, thank you for showing up here. And as we get started, for anyone out there, you guys can find her here on YouTube. But how long have you been remote viewing, like officially, in terms of like as a maybe not a daily practice, but as a regular sort of, we could call it spiritual or psychic tool? How long has that been a factor in your life?
Well, I started learning it from the Farsight Institute. I took their courses when they were publicly offering free courses. I took the free ones.
Nice.
So it wasn't anything paid. I took it when they had like 35 courses with Courtney Brown when he was teaching it. So I took it that way. And I downloaded it all because they were removed from the Farsight channel. That's been removed. They now do paid courses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I took it in its infancy when Courtney was teaching his son, actually.
Nice.
So I took it then, and they had the videos. And it is that they teach it the military style with the alphanumeric numbers, which is 4 numbers.
Like coordinates.
And coordinates, yes, they're coordinates for the target. Yeah. Some people may call it longitude and latitude. That's not precisely what it is, but it's location for a target. That is the official military style CIA teaching of remote viewing. That's how I learned it. But since then, my remote viewing ability has evolved beyond those numbers. So I just go into the target. And sometimes when I'm teaching remote viewing, I assign a blind target, but it's like you get a few keywords. That's all you get. What is under the Gulf of Mexico? That's all you get when I teach it. And then you're supposed to go and see what's under there.
Yeah. Okay. So it can come in the form of a question. It doesn't have to be a set of coordinates or even a white envelope with some sort of something inside it, right?
No, because I teach online through Zoom. It comes in the form of a question. What is under the Gulf of Mexico? It's still a blind target. That's all you get. And once you know what your idioms are, and that's land, that is it man-made? Is it natural? Is it land, water? Is it sky? Is it earth? Is it water? Is it cold? Is it hot? Those are your physical idioms of what can be in targets, and much more. There's much more in idioms. Those are called idioms. That's the first thing you learn in remote viewing. And then you learn perception, how to go into a target with your perception. First, you have to clear your mind of all active thoughts. So we do a meditation to clear the mind, a guided meditation specifically for clearing all active thought. So you have a blank white slate in your mind, calm, balanced, peaceful, grounded, because you have to have that in order to do remote viewing.
Absolutely.
You need to be in a good headspace and physical space, and in a quiet space where nobody can interrupt you. When you're in a session with me, there cannot be any interruptions when you're practicing remote viewing. No dogs, no cats, no children. You must be in a quiet room where you're not disturbed.
Yeah.
Respecting the session, the client, whatever. So respect both mutually on the side of the practitioner, who assigns the target, that's me in a teaching session or a practice session, and the person doing the target, which is you, and you don't know what the target is. It's totally blind, even with those keywords, because I've been asked, so if you don't use those numbers, those alphanumeric numbers, then your target isn't blind. Yes, it is blind, because I'm not telling you what you're going to be looking at, just giving you a word or two as a location parameter, so you can go in with the perception. Once you've done the guided meditation, you're all cleansed, you're all cleared, you're all detoxed of emotion, perception. Weird things can be in the mind floating around. Once you cleanse that with the guided meditation, because it's part of a cleanse, it's part of a nice mind cleanse, then you learn how to broaden your perception to see 360 degrees of everything that is in the creation. That way you can see everything in the target. You can see forward, you could go this way. That way you can zoom in, zoom out. That is what perception allows you to do.
Yeah.
And then you have a piece of paper, 8.5 by 11 landscape piece of paper, and an ink gel black pen. That's all you have. And when you zoom in with your perception, when you find your target, you start writing down what you're seeing. You just start drawing it out. And you're not allowed to cross anything out. You can't erase anything. You don't.
Stream of consciousness, whatever rolls through, right?
Yeah, that's whatever comes in. That is what is in the target. You can't have a cell phone looking at coordinates, looking things up. You have to have your cell phone off. Can't have Google search or whatever browser you're using off.
No outside influence, no technology, completely undisturbed. I feel you.
Yeah, exactly. And also, this target must have been viewed by me before. Right. So I already know what's in the target, but I'm not telling you. So to compare and contrast for verification of evidence. So when you as the practicing doing your target, afterward we must verify that it's correct.
Totally.
Because two people need to see it in a similar or as close to the same way for it to be a valid, correct target, to see and verify what's actually there. We can't make up anything that we see in targets. It is what it is.
You can't verify, though.
I can, and I have.
You can't, but what if you can't? What about those situations where it's like, I perceive that there is something there? When does it cross the line from perception into truth without an exterior or an external form of confirmation?
Then you need a third tasker, a third target assigner with somebody else to check that. And if it doesn't validify or verify, if 3 people cannot get the same type of target answer, then perhaps the target perception was wrong. In that
so
practice,
you use triangulation, I guess.
Yes, triangulation. That's how it works in all kinds of remote viewing. You must verify the target.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, I'm just like probing for more information here, and
Yeah.
Here comes an immediate follow-up question. And this is kind of an obvious one, but everyone can do this, as we all know. But what do you think about those of us? Because here's the thing, and I know that you already know this, but I have never taken a class in anything psychic or intuitive. It was a weird, abrupt change that occurred in my life. And I've just noticed I've been one, and yes, I have tried controlled remote viewing many times. And what's crazy is it actually worked. It definitely worked in the setting that we use it. But I've found that I am one of those people that doesn't use any of those things. And it's almost like, and I want to kind of get your feedback on what you think this is. It's almost like I will sort of take a breath of a person or a scene or a time or a place, or it's like I will hear a fragment of a sound of a person, a fragment of a piece of someone's voice, little bits. It's almost like the data will come in a different way. And it's like, on one hand, I want to say, okay, that is definitely remote viewing, because what I'm taking is the energy and I'm going, okay, boom, there's so much data here. But it's what it's not, though, is it's not like, look at 0.003.9 by 754 on the map and tell me what it is you perceive. And it's like, does that negate what I might perceive in that moment? I know that's a bunch of stuff. So
No, it doesn't negate. That's called psychic remote viewing, when you can just view it naturally through the psychic phenomenon, but that's a different category of remote viewing. For the sake of teaching remote viewing, I call it psychic remote viewing, and I do it that way too. But when I teach students, I do it in the more controlled way, but not using those alphanumeric numbers. I substitute that with 2 or 3 keywords, so you can gain the perception of focusing on something. You don't know what you're focusing on, but you're focusing still on it to go and get your target acquisition, and then get the perception going and get the results. So I still do it in a very strict way, just slightly different than the military and the CIA way. Because when you're learning it, numbers, you might get stuff with numbers and you might not, but you need to focus in right away on the perception of teaching your mind to perceive and to take the deep dive that you need. Some people have, when they're learning the traditional remote viewing, they've gotten lost in the numbers and they haven't seen anything at all. That's what I've gotten back from somebody who studied it traditionally. And I said, let's try something different and see what we get with you. Let's do a practice one. Yeah. They did a practice one and they got the target spot on. Boom, confirmation. I never told them what the target was. I never had publicly revealed that target. I already knew that target. And for me, psychically, it was, yes, that's there. That is there. Also psychic intuitive perception. After the target was completed, I also did an intuitive psychic thing check. For me, it's like, yes, that target is valid. Yeah. Okay, now I need somebody else to do it. And some people wanted to practice, and this person practiced in an hour and a half session, and they got it. They got similar information as me that verified, validified, confirmed the target evidence. That target is solid. 2 people have done it. So that is good. They got it off the first time. And they got some other things other than the target.
So everybody really, really can do it with some form of, like, whether it be controlled or not, like measured, kind of private, or at least on some level dedicated practice, it sounds like.
Yeah, some people are very gifted intuitively and psychically right off the bat, and they just do remote viewing right off the bat because the gift is active. It needs to be activated and active, like, at least this guy's remote viewing is at 80% capacity. That I can tell you.
Yeah, interesting. I feel like maybe this is a dumb thing to say. I feel like I was definitely one of those people, because I never had real success in my life until I started doing psychic work, which is a crazy thing to say. Right around age 40, it was like suddenly I was like, I can do this thing, really? And suddenly it was like it literally worked. And so, but what I have noticed is, and I want to get your feelings on this, being naturally gifted is an incredible thing. But I've noticed for myself, there is a tendency to plateau in certain areas or remain in an untrained or unfocused element of something. It's almost like it's raw and it works, but it could be polished or honed. What do you think about that?
Polished, raw, or honed all comes in its own time. When it needs to be, it comes in. When I do remote viewing, I have no expectation of what I'm getting, how I'm getting it. I do it in a more controlled setting without the alphanumeric numbers. That's honestly how I teach it and how I do it myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'll give you an example what happened today. So I woke up at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and I was seeing jagged mountain peaks, huge, raw, jagged mountain peaks. It was warm, it was hot. Sometimes it was cold as well. And I'm like, what is this? It's like, target acquired, mission parameters set. It's time to remote view. In bed, still in bed, just woke up from sleep, and there's a target acquired already. So that's an instantaneous remote viewing, start of a remote viewing, because you're perceiving something. And Jenny Lee had done this target already. And this was of the giants. Apparently, this was of the giants and the devices they're working with and transporting.
I did watch a fair amount of that video. Can you take us through some of what you guys have been discovering, or just kind of what you have noticed out there?
Yeah, so this started with Michael Salla. I petitioned him to please provide some evidence for his military source, JP.
Oh, right. So JP's been the one that's been giving a lot of kind of like he's kind of like the shadowy secret insider. That's been giving a lot of data. It seems like everyone has one lately. It's like, there's this guy that we can't name and he's telling me all these things, and I don't have one though. What does that mean? I don't have a shadow. Oh, I might be the shadowy secret insider in my own way, or outsider. But anyway, so JP, take us from,
Yeah, so I asked Dr. Michael Salla to please provide some evidence that JP is indeed serving actively in the U.S. Army. And I asked for the DD-214, and that's for active. They don't give that when you're actively serving. I already knew that, but I still asked for it. And I said any other military ID, of course, will do as well. So I kind of played cheeky. I was a bit cheeky.
Why?
That's okay. That's me. I'm lively. I'm cheeky.
Sorry to just like shove myself in here, but why? And I'm genuinely curious. So this is not like a pointed thing. Why seek verification for JP? Was there something that they were pushing, or something that came through that you were like, no, it's this or it's not this? Like, tell us a little bit more.
Well, JP is very special. He looks young. And how can a young man like that be serving in the U.S. Army? That was the first thing that came up. It's like he looks like 21, 22 only.
Yeah. That's entirely possible, though.
Yeah. Well, age regression, regeneration tanks. Maybe. That's off-world. He talks about off-world missions on Ganymede, on the moon, that he's going in. And I was getting janitor works in the military closet. I was like, why am I getting that?
I feel you.
Because it's a cover. It's just a cover. It's a work cover. He can take on many different roles and do many different things.
Interesting.
He can be lurking in the background and you won't even know it, because his appearance is nondescript. He can take on different roles. He can play different roles. And I was getting janitor in the closet, in the military closet, because janitors and maintenance staff have access to everything. They can listen in while they're doing their work. They can listen. They can take data. Nobody pays attention to them, so they're great assets.
Yeah.
So that's one of his roles.
Yeah, no, that I could see that.
So that's what I honed in, and then I did a remote viewing on JP. I can't release the data findings because people, I don't. My number one rule is I never make remote viewing on people public. That was just a psychic impression, janitor in the military closet, but that turned up in the remote viewing as well.
Did you feel though that there was efficacy to the nature of the stories that he was kind of talking about, or did you feel like it was a cover for something else. Because here's the reason why I ask, because I think I have been more of a passive observer of kind of the content that has been rolling through from them, and there's a number of reasons for that, which I can kind of get to later. But I felt like, at least from what limited intuitive perspective that I've taken toward that individual, it does feel like there's something going on. Like I can't lie. It feels like there's definitely some form of a great irregularity with what I would call the energetic signature of just that name, which, as we know, is clearly not, but it's like a signature. It's like a placeholder that's there. You know, you could definitely grab onto it. And for me, I would say there feels like something there, but anyway, what? Yeah, like
Yeah.
what do you
So
think?
I didn't grab onto JP. That's a moniker. That's not exactly a real name of his. So I grabbed onto the soul frequency of who this individual is, and
Yeah, that's what I mean. Maybe not.
he was in an ARC ship in the Baltic Sea that he did go under. He was in there. That's true. He did have off-world missions on the moon and some other planets. He enjoys hanging out on space stations. He actually does missions on space stations. Those I got yes for in the remote viewing. Got no giant under Florida. That's a big, he claims there's a giant under Florida in an ancient civilization. Right. Got no on that in the remote viewing. That's all I could really say, what I got. And he's often...
Can I just say one thing really quick? Because I actually, that has been a thing that I have been noticing. And here's the thing. I feel like I'm kind of past the stage where I want to call like deliberate bullshit on stuff. It's not like from like a hateful perspective, but I also don't believe that. I'm just going to say it. It's one of those things that I think gets like passed through so many hands and so many people that there's fragments of truth. And honestly, what it looked like to me, and this is what I'm about to say is a very, very half-assed surface level intuitive assessment of kind of what that little story was. It felt like there's definitely some form of a portal activity. It feels like that there's a number of kind of like tunnels or places where a person would kind of go through, gateways, and they could very well have ended up in a place where there was some, I don't know, some giants and some weird stasis pods. But I firmly do not believe that there is, some sleeping giants chilling under Florida, just waiting to wake up and, join Joe Biden or something. It just doesn't feel like, it feels like a story.
Yeah, and I did remote viewing.
Sorry.
I did.
Sorry, everyone. Don't mean to slaughter the sacred cows of SSP, supremacy, but it's just anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, this isn't even SSP. This is like a guy in the US military, and Sala claims he also goes on secret missions for the US Navy and the US Air Force, moonlighting outside the US Army, that he has other designations.
To me, here's the thing. To me, I'm like, yeah, dude, that'll definitely happen. To me, that feels like a legitimate process. But I also, once again, I say that as a person reacting to the surface level kind of thing. And it's like, it feels like like there's a big yes, and then there's this really big gap. But it's almost like I don't think that that's where the gap comes from that individual. And maybe this is me going on a weird off ramp here. And sorry to be so focused on this dude, whoever he is. I know none of those people will ever see this channel, so it doesn't matter. But it feels like it's more about a need for people within this soul group community to continually one up themselves in terms of salacious, highly exciting, and totally no one's ever heard this one before. Guess what? Now there's a bunch of giants underneath Florida. You know what I mean? It's like every week there's an even bigger, more fantastical, more like, it's like this time there's 10 giants in the stasis pod, and one of them, one of them's awakened and he's really pissed. It's like every time there's like another layer. And I just wonder, how come no one ever kind of looks at that and goes, really?
I did look at it. I did a series of remote viewings. Yeah. There are two Annunaki giants in stasis tubes under Nippur in Iraq.
Oh, okay. See, there we go. I'm talking about Florida.
Nothing in Florida. The portal system that's off Florida, where the Gulf of Mexico is, there's a research facility there, several giants in stasis being held there. There's a prison system under the research facility with a bunch of exotic ET monster types being held there, and it's in a warp bubble outside of time-space. Yes, prison. Oof.
Wait, where? Where is this?
Gulf of Mexico, off of Florida to the left.
Interesting.
And this is, you can't see this facility with radar. It's deep underwater. It's in its own little time warp bubble. It's a research facility, like in the middle. On top, there's stasis pods where Annunaki giants at some point have been kept in stasis there. That's weird. Did not expect that. Did not know that.
I absolutely feel that. Sorry to just like throw myself in here, but I want to say for the record, I am definitely not a denier of that being a presence and a factor within what we would call the, like the underbelly of spiritual ET activity. They're definitely there. I just, I felt like that one story was just really an attempt to keep everybody going. And what's happening in the next episode, and anyway, I just want to say that, but to me, it feels much more likely. And I'm not saying this because I believe it to be true, but it feels much more likely that there would be something within the Gulf of Mexico. And it feels much more likely that it would be at least somewhat as you describe. But anyway, go ahead. I knew you were saying something. Yes.
And in the prison system, a bunch of exotic monster type extraterrestrials kept in separate cells with some kind of light source. So they are almost numb and can't move or escape from there. And then after that, there's a whole portal system with two Annunaki giants being kept in this arc wall thing with blue lighting. And they're guarding this portal. That's what I got. Regarding this inner earth portal to the fountain of youth, to the tree of life, seed of life, and the sphere of light. So that stuff exists, but it's an inner earth. It's not under Florida.
I feel you.
So that's all I got. And as a remote viewer, that's the findings, and I can't grow the findings and keep adding to the story. That's not how that works. Did the remote viewing? It's complete. I cannot add in anything and make a saga out of that in a weekly episode of titillating information. That's not how that works. You've done the remote viewing, you've confirmed it with others, or you've just done it yourself. You've published the results, and that's it. It's done. It's the target. What was there was there. What was not there was not there.
Yeah.
Done. But if the target stuff has been published already, it's hard for somebody else to go and remote view it because they're front loaded with informational perception if they've seen the target results.
Well, I have a question about that, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that it is possible that somewhat of a projection or a fourth density kind of astral kind of holographic item, or it just something that someone would psychically view that has been created and placed there so that it would be viewed almost like a diversionary thing, or how people just place like a, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Hologram, maybe, like within the space. And so people who are maybe raw or untrained will sort of like look at it and go, there it is, it's this thing. But really it's because we've kind of created it with our,
Well, that research facility and prison system actually has dome protection on it, so you can't view it with radar. When you're traveling under the Gulf of Mexico, you're just experiencing ocean underneath. But that facility it's in its own warp bubble energetic field, and it is protected by a dome system. So it is holographically hidden from the physical world.
I guess, hold on. I'm not trying to say that space is, because honestly it feels very resonant. I will get into that in a moment, but I mean in general, do you think that somebody could place a projection over a place that is basically false?
Yes, of course they could. If you have that technology, you can do it to basically also scare off remote viewers with other remote viewers that are guarding the place and sending you images to scare you off. With me, I'm allowed everywhere and anywhere I want to go. There's nothing that can stop me because I break through you show me a trap, you give me a holographic projection over something. I'm like, that's false. No. Bad energy. There's something there. I'll just keep pushing it until I get to the truth, because I want the truth. I'm not just a remote viewer or a psychic. I'm also not just a psychic, but also a researcher. I've worked for libraries for 12 years in my normal human career, in libraries, library technician, and library sciences and library technologies. So this was before any SSP, before psychic stuff. I was a normal researcher working in libraries. And in libraries, what's drilled in us you have to go through, it's either 2 years of library technician, and that's on university/college level, or 4 years and then 2 years of practicum for a librarian. I'm a library tech, so I did the 2.5 years.
Nice.
University/college, and I have a diploma in library science and library technology and library technician.
The last dying breed.
Yeah, research, evidence, cited articles, scientifically cited articles, triple checked, verified. You have to use 5 different sources for when you're writing a paper to verify a subject matter in library science. Same when you're helping students in a library setting, in a university. You have to find them credible articles and information. You can't just take Google any article you find and slap it on as good to go for their research. You can't.
I agree. Sorry to interrupt your flow with that comment there. I just noticed people have been commenting at the background. Hello, everyone. Thank you, by the way. I don't know if you can see those comments on.
Yeah, I can see that. Shaman. I'm a Native American trained shaman. I studied with Leonard Howell. He has since passed away. Studied this for 3 years. I did 3 levels. I chose not to do 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 because that had to do with hospice stuff and helping people pass on in hospitals. I didn't want to do that kind of a practicum because I do more nature-based shamanism.
You have formal training in shamanism.
Yes, I am certified. Certificate. Anybody asks me for proof in what I'm certified in, I can give you proof.
So you didn't just take ayahuasca and have a really wild experience and realize that you're a galactic shaman.
No.
And what is it? A galactic shaman and an embodied way shower? Or here's an
emissary.
Get ready. Here comes another really, really fun one. If there's embodied way shower, there's ascension trainer. Sorry to create a bizarre off ramp, guys, but does anyone ever wonder what the hell does that mean? Sorry,
I don't know. I'm like, okay, I'll explain what shamanism is. Shamanism is when you connect to nature, when you connect to animals, when you connect to the universe. Basically, it's a balance between the human aspect, the soul aspect, and the different elements and the different realms, dimensions, universes. It is connection to everything, and you need to be able to connect to everything as a shaman. Helping people to pass on spiritual training, drumming, making tools, spiritual tools, being in nature. My shaman teacher did show me how to work with herbs and crystals, and I already knew most of that as a Wiccan witch practitioner, also certified. Oils, herbs, I do all that stuff. I don't ingest anything like ayahuasca because as a galactic ET, I'm very sensitive what goes into this human body.
And you really don't actually need it after a while.
No. I get trippy as is because I can go on an astral travel. I can go on a shamanic journey, and I'll go to the different worlds, to the different places, see the planets, see the beings, study the culture, study the beings, have a chat. Whatever I'm called to do, I can do that already. And that's what I did with my shaman teacher. Cool. I was honest. I never used any herbs to ingest. I did use sage in the beginning for sage cleansing and stuff. That's the first thing he showed me how to do.
Nice.
And then drumming. But I had to buy a synthetic drum, honestly, because where I live, it is very humid and it deflated. The deer skin and the buffalo.
You know what I mean? It's more about the spirit of it. You can even.
But the spirit, I put shells on those drums that deflated, and it's beautiful, and it's a drum shield. It's
Yeah.
still a shamanic tool. It's just not, I just don't drum on it. So in shamanism, you're taught if something doesn't go the same way as what you planned, you use it a different way for your creative tools.
Yeah.
You tap into what this item can be and look like, and you use it as a protective mechanism. So I use the drums as a drum shield for protection, put shells on it, I put crystals on it, I put rocks on it, and it created this beautiful protection shield.
I'm thinking of using a drum in sessions lately. And for the record, I'm definitely not one of those people that would ever call myself a shaman, but it's odd because I do engage in a number of very dedicated shamanic practices that I think are a key to what I do. But I do also agree it is a label that it just gets thrown around and attached to literally anyone that's opened their crown chakra and realizes they can move energy on a minimalistic level. And I often, well, I'll just be real. Sometimes it's really bizarre to kind of, you know, see the level of theatrics in the kind of the spiritual labeling and the myriad of bizarre roles that we kind of create. And so I guess that's what I'm commenting on.
Yeah, and there's categories of shamanism. There's Native American shamanism, there's Druidic shamanism, there's Celtic shamanism, there's pagan shamanism. There's all kinds of subcategories of shamanism. Some people call themselves shamanic druids.
What's galactic shaman?
Galactic shaman is when you connect to everything in the universe. Universe is everything. You're not limited to stuff that you only focus on. You do everything. I don't call myself a galactic shaman. I just call myself the star traveler. That's
I like to me that feels far more authentic. To me, that feels far more authentic.
I don't use labels of like, if anybody asks me what you're trained in legally, like Native American shaman, I'm not Native. I have zero Native blood right now, but I have had past lifetimes in the Native sphere stuff, and so to me, Siberian shaman, I had a past life as a Siberian shaman when I was exploring my past lives. Shamanism is just something that I was very called towards in the heart. And Wiccan witch. Yeah. I'm a hereditary witch from past lives. So magic is just instant to me.
I feel it. I definitely feel it.
Yeah, hereditary. My mom has psychic abilities. My grandmother had psychic abilities. My dad is intuitive. So there's psychic lineages in the family as well. I just had these things naturally, but I believe in being trained in everything. It's just the library.
I absolutely agree with that. I too came from a family of actual Native American witches, medicine women, part Zuni and part Apache, and it was honestly the only nationality that I knew as I was like growing up. But I was never a person that like repped this sort of like Native American identity. It was just, for me, it was just like, oh yeah, that's where everyone's from, right? Okay, cool. That's okay, you know. But very, very interesting that you have such a diverse background of formal training in the area, which to me is incredible. I think that's one of the things that makes you authentic in, you know, just kind of what you do. But do you think there's people that are just naturally that?
Yes, there's natural ones, and there's ones that love learning and they come into it later on. I was both natural and I loved the learning. So I wanted to know all the practices, everything officially certified. I wanted to go the traditional route of certification in all these practices. The only thing I'm not officially certified in is the Akashic records reading that I learned on my own.
Nice. I did as well. Just so you know, I literally got this like official prayer from somebody that had taken a class with some person. I was like, okay, I'm just going to try that prayer and try. And it was instant. It was like an instantaneous like connection of this kind of spiral movement of energy that I was able to kind of flow through. And the thing is, I didn't really stick with it, but it was one of those moments where you kind of realize like, oh, whoa, that's actually there. And it actually works. I don't think you need to get certified in it. But
well, some people do professionally. I am professionally hypnosis certified in doing hypnosis regression and past life regression. That, to me, I needed that. But I'm I'm a natural channeler. I never got certified in channeling. That is something I'm naturally good at.
Channeling, I wonder.
But I do teach channeling. I do teach it. Like there's protocols to how it works and how you get into it.
What would be the certifying like official body to like, you know, say, yes, you're actually channeling?
Well, you have to take a 2-hour course with me, and then you have to do a practicum session. So I can actually test you to make sure you're channeling and that you're protected and that you're following safe standard protocols, because there are protocols. And if somebody wants a certificate that they've gone through the 2-hour course and the practicum, I can give them a certificate. Just because you have a certificate doesn't mean you're ready to be a full-on professional active channeler. That means you know how to channel and you can practice and do it.
Yeah.
But it takes years to be a professional channeler doing this actively. Yeah. And I don't really like
you
to
mean
say...
You can't just like start a YouTube channel and start channeling the Galactic Federation?
Galactic Federation of Worlds?
You gotta go to channeling college?
No, there's no such thing as a college. You can take courses in it, but be careful what type you take. Sometimes it's good ones, sometimes not so good ones. Wow. I personally don't know many channelers who teach it. Right. So if you ask me, do I know a good channeler? Not really. I teach it. I do it. It's just part of life. But I don't like to announce that I'm a channeler professionally. That's not something I do publicly. I've done some channeling with Source Creator on my YouTube channel where I ask Source questions and I get answers, but I don't publicly advertise that.
I love that. I love that about you, though. I can feel the like, what's the word? Directness with which you can communicate with spirit. It's literally, it's like a voice and an energy that certain people will carry, and it's like you can just tell that they're within the sort of, you know, for lack of a better word, occupation or mission stage that is in total resonance with their energy. And I don't know, just an observation.
Yeah, I'm human and I have biases too, and I have my opinions. When I talk to Source Creator and Source answers questions, it does not sound like me, and all that bias and human stuff goes away. Source gives direct answers without any bias, in a neutral manner of giving facts and answers, without any perception of what I think about it. That's gone. Source is different from me. It's not me talking as Source. It is Source coming through the channeling of questions and answers. Yeah. That's what channeling is. You need to have questions to ask whichever being or energy you're channeling.
I feel you. What do you think about this question on the screen? I realize I'm just hitting you with question after question.
What is an alternative name to shaman for someone who utilizes shamanic practice? I don't know of any alternative names. I say I'm just a native. If somebody asks me,
I would call it practitioner of spirit. That just
but practitioner of spirit can mean many different things. So it's broad-based. For me, if anybody asks me, what do you do? I say I'm trained as a Native American shaman. If you'd like to know more, we'll talk about it and figure it out. I do use categories for what I am professionally trained in, because I think people deserve to know what they're getting into if they want to practice Native American shamanism. That's the only type of shamanism I was taught, and I could teach it. I'm currently not, because that's huge. That's 3 volumes of manuals. Honestly, I'm not ready to teach that. I've just started teaching remote viewing and channeling. Just got those courses up, so I'm teaching that. And those are great for me. I love this new experience.
I love it. But what about the Omniverse? What about the Omniverse, Ileana?
Omniverse is beyond these physical 3D realities. Omniverse is anything 5D and on, and it's traveling without needing a physical UFO craft or a physical energy source to power something. It's in your light body. It's pure energy. It's the light within that can be in the Omniverse and travel to different dimensions through portals, realities. Time is not linear in the Omniverse, and not even flowing. It just is.
Absolutely.
This is psychically what I'm getting on about the Omniverse. It's not the definition of what is Omniverse in
I
Google.
absolutely feel you. I absolutely feel you on that.
It's just what I psychically get. That's it. Because I just tapped into what Omniverse is. I think we've got the remote viewing covered. Do you have any other questions about it?
I guess I'll ask it. You already know where I'm gonna go. You can feel it.
Go wherever you want.
What did you think about Michael Sala getting weird with you over some comments? And there's that whole thing with like, you didn't see my comment. You could see he instantly got so it's like,
honestly, the system deleted his comments. I couldn't reply to him. Jenny Lee couldn't reply to him. The system deleted it. I couldn't see it on my end, but the audience said, what do you mean delete it? We can read the comments. It's public. You just have to go and when you're sorting comments, just new comments. I was floored. I got that certain systems were doing this on purpose, deleting it.
Yeah.
On my end, but people like it being public. The system was, I got when I was tapping into Michael Sala, I got he's illuminated. He's with the Illuminated organization.
Is he a gatekeeper?
I don't know. He's very open-minded to some things and not other things. So I don't think he gatekeeps everybody. It's like if he's interested in something, he will do shows, talk about it, invite the people. If he doesn't want you on his show, you will never be on his show. So it's a preference of likeness and who he wants to work with. But he isn't in with the Illuminated organization. So I'm sure these guys have parameters for.
Wait, so what's the Illuminated organization? Do you mean the dare we say it on YouTube? The
Let's not.
It's okay. I already said it. It came out. Oh, I heard the AI yard dogs in the background howling.
Yeah. Illuminated. We'll just call it.
He is. Is he really?
Yes, that's what I got. And the way this whole thing unraveled, he got triggered by just my request about JP. So I guess he is Illuminati. To me, it reads as Illuminati. Just the programming, how he responded to me, and how the system is just blocking his questions and answers.
It did definitely look like an immediate attempt to completely to make you irrelevant in some way, or to prove that you are either afraid or somehow supremely avoidant of him, as if he was kind of from a place of very high authority, or I won't even engage with you. You know what I mean? It's like, what? It was weird. It was just one of those moments. And don't worry, you don't have to agree with me, because honestly, none of those people are going to watch this channel anyway.
Well,
it'll get posted somewhere, but it just felt like it just felt like a bullying moment, like where someone came along and was like, "Oh, really?" It's really weird, because it kind of feels like that whole team of people right now is all about bullying or telling everyone who is right and who is wrong and who's of the light and who's in the the dark alliance. And sorry to go on a rant here, Ileana.
No, it's fine.
Because it feels exactly like a recreation of Corey Good and the Sphere Being Alliance.
Well, patterns and cycles are repeating themselves, and they do every couple of years when new people come on the scene or old people get creative with ideas. I look at this as a galactic soap opera. That's what it is.
I know, isn't it awesome?
I'm not loftily elevated, and I'm a researcher. I'm going to use my muscles and flex them to bully somebody or degrade somebody. If that's how Sala chose to respond in that kind of a behavior, he cannot downgrade me. He cannot bully me. He can't downsize me. He can't make me irrelevant. If I don't want to be any of those things, I won't be, because it's preferential choice and choice of free will choice, basically. He cannot do anything to me with those labels. I don't operate that way. And anybody who operates within those parameters, that's on their soul stuff. That's not on me. It just maybe showed his true colors and what the soul is capable of being and acting if they're triggered by simplistic things like a petition request. I wasn't mean to him. I wasn't judgmental. I wasn't deceitful. I wasn't behaving badly. And those are the labels that people told me he was using. I don't care.
As soon as you question things, you are the bad guy. As soon as you go outside of the lines of like, wait a minute, I don't think that's true. Give me some proof. It's like suddenly you get like demonized. And it's like we see that everywhere within the social spectrum in every area. It's interesting to watch it happen here. Anyway, go ahead. Yes.
Well, I'm a researcher. Remember, I am a researcher first. That's what my job was. I'm still trained as a researcher. I have the diploma to prove that. And I have the badge that I worked at the university where I say I work for 12 years, full time, 35 hours a week, day in, day out. Worked with books, worked with people, students, faculty, helping to find research, helping to do some research for the work stuff because I had to constantly upgrade my learning and teaching stuff to be in this field of library work. Never liked going to conferences even then. Never did.
Really?
I got invited.
I definitely love the conference scene. I think it's really important, but I think that's mainly because I'm usually one of the people that's hanging out in like the periphery, doing a bunch of energy work and seeing people. Because the reality is that's all we do. Literally, that's the only thing we do at conferences. Literally, but I actually love it because that's kind of like where not only that's where you get to sort of kind of see everybody in your soul group, but you finally get to see the individuals from whom you kind of subscribe to their timelines, and it's like so much more energy kind of shows up, and there's all these weird little cracks in the armor. It's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't like hundreds and thousands of people gathered together in one massive area because there's UFO agents, there's 4-letter agents, there's soul traps in there too. There's a lot that comes with conferences, some of it good, some of it very not good. You can get abducted, trapped, whatever, energetically sucked on. Good God, there's so many things that can happen. I like the online events and conferences, appearances. Online is what I feel good with, so I do it this way.
I think you're going to be doing one pretty soon, right? I saw you post them.
Yeah, the alien event, that was interesting. So I'm looking, it's not even for the sake of doing that webinar, it's to talk to those people.
So did that already happen, or like when is that? Sorry if that already took place.
No. It's coming up December 3rd at 11 a.m. Pacific time. So that's coming up.
Yeah.
But I want to go back to the remote viewing for a second.
Yes.
I spontaneously got a target today of those mountain peaks. Can you show that, please?
Right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yes.
So people can see that.
Thank you for reminding me. I get off track in all this like salacious social drama.
We'll get back to that in a minute. But
thanks for playing the Secret Space War drama game, everybody.
I'm a Secret Space Program SSP asset, but I don't engage in that drama because I don't need it. It's low energy. It's just low vibration. Why? Okay, so this is what I got today. 11 a.m. target acquired some tall mountain peaks, and I didn't know where this was. And when I started doing the remote viewing, I got Middle East regions, and nice. I got about three giants moving around with this energy, power generated energy, technology, devices that have unlimited energy, can terraform planets, can change atmospheres, can do many things on a planetary scale. It's like power of God devices. And then I got this energy rod that can change DNA and fix damaged DNA and genomes in both humans and animals. And this is in an underground cavern system somewhere under the Middle East. I got Turkey, I got Lebanon, I got Iran, Iraq, and
I feel Iraq. Sorry to throw. Just I'm sure it's many places, but for some reason, as soon as you said Iraq, it was like, and that might just be me like trying.
No. It says there Iraq. It says Iraq, Iran, Turkey. Does? Yes, it does. Sorry for the small writing. You can only get so much on 8.5 by 11 piece of paper landscape. Also in the U.S. as well. In some states, I got that these guys.
I'm gonna put it on the main screen for a moment. Hopefully that'll work.
Yeah,
but yes, Take us through a little bit more of what is
Okay.
on this drawing here.
So it was done today. It started at 11 a.m., just perception, getting a perception. Middle East, huge peaks, mountains, ragged, giant. That's what I got. And I needed to still sleep, so I went back to sleep, but it wouldn't go away. The target acquired thing wouldn't go away. It's like once it's acquired, you need to do it. So at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I had to put it on paper. So again, the tall mountain peaks, I got Middle East regions, I got Lebanon, I got Iraq, Iran, and I also got Turkey, because these giants move around. They move around.
Oh, yeah, there it is. I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, 3 of them. There's 3 of them protecting this power energy devices, which have literally unlimited 0-point energy fields. It's like batteries. But they're not typical batteries. It's like unlimited energy sources. So, and these devices can terraform planets. They can change the atmosphere of planets. They can shift the frequency vibration on planetary scales. They're pyramid looking like with spheres and spherical energy around it. Yeah. Some of them are stationary, some of them are floating. Then there's this energy rod device that can change human DNA and animal DNA to repair damaged, broken DNA. And that these giants are inside this mountain range, under the mountain, in several mountain systems. They constantly keep moving, so they're not captured. And this technology is not taken from them.
So they move through various locations. Okay, thank you for saying that, because that was going to be a question that I have as I'm kind of looking at this with you and feeling it in my own way. It feels like a thing that moves through many different places.
It does,
like a network. And also the center image, I don't know, I doubt anyone can see my mouse pointer on the screen, but the center image, that triangle with the sphere underneath it, can you tell me more about what that is? Because for some reason this has a very distinct vibration, this kind of center triangle with the circle underneath. That's just one of those elements of the whole thing where I'm like, there's something there. What yeah, tell us a little more about that.
It puts off so many energy waves and frequencies. It is unlimited energy source. It can power anything. But it's pyramidal, and it has a circle, and it just has waveforms, frequency inside and outside of it. So it can terraform planets. It works on planetary scales. This small device that can do big things, huge things. Yeah, what are you getting from it?
To me, it feels like a set of tools or things that are being passed through hands over and over and over again, similar to something like the Arks of the Covenant, which I think are to me, they feel like they're on a similar circuit where it's like there's beings, or in some cases humans or whatever it is, that will kind of be in possession of such things. And they'll kind of like usher them from place to place based on the vibration of what's going on, or where it's safe, or it's part of like maintaining this sort of grid network as well. To me, if I were to, sorry to make this awkward, if I were to say what part of this I really grab onto, it's that there is definitely some form of technology that you viewed that is being moved or has a major impact on the vibratory state of something. Maybe it even has to do with right now. If I were to look at part of it and say, like, I don't know about that part, I wonder about what these objects really do. Like, what do they really do? You know what I mean?
They can.
It feels like there's another purpose, but that's just my, like, opinionated parts.
Yeah, it connects to 0-point technology, unlimited energy resources, like planet. They can power a whole planet. They can connect with ley lines and power the whole system of a planetary embodiment. Godlike devices. That's what I got.
I guess the question that I have, and maybe I'm peering too deeply, so you can tell me if I'm like pushing too far into this, if these things are down there, because it like there's a part that feels like shockingly authentic, but if there are these planet changing kind of technologies that these, you know, like giants are, you know, using, how come those giants themselves have not used it to take over or power the world? How come some governmental agency or some, you know, SSP faction hasn't already gone down there and sort of, you know, like grabbed them? How come JP hasn't gone down there? You know
Well,
what I mean?
these giants are 13 feet tall. They're nature giants, and they use those rods. They can work with those energy rods to protect this technology. They're the guardians of the technology. They're not supposed to use it themselves. They're guarding it, and they're moving around so they don't get captured by the government agencies, by the SSP stuff. That's why they're underground, constantly moving to save spaces in these cavern systems. They're the guardians of the tech. They're not supposed to use it.
No, thank you. That absolutely makes sense. Thank you for fielding my jagged, you know, like questions here.
Oh, of course. And these giants are also in the US, parts of several states, just not under Florida. Just not under Florida.
I think here's the thing. It's sort of, to me, it feels entirely possible that there has been, or not even possible, I would say it's almost a guarantee that there's been ancient giant activity throughout the entirety of the United States. I think that it's absolutely real. Whether or not they're still chilling under Florida, I think that there's more like military industrial complex stuff kind of chilling under Florida. Just when I feel it, being a person that lives here, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know, it feels more like that.
Under Orlando, Florida, there's a giant facility operational that the U.S. military is aware of, and it has that energy vortex that this facility is using to power its portal systems under Florida. It is a military facility. It's an operational facility space under Orlando, Florida. I think that's what the people tapped into and thought they were waking up the giant.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. Feels more military industrial complex, but I also agree that there's a number of these beings kind of still inhabiting various regions underneath, you know, mainland, you know, like US or Canada or like wherever. To me, that feels very accurate. They're definitely still out there. Do you recall seeing the kind of semi-viral video that went around that was the supposed video of the stasis giants, and they were with like the long hair and the gold jewelry? Did you ever see that?
Yes, I saw it, but I never really believed it. So what I saw under Nippur, Iraq, two giants in stasis, Annunaki giants, yes, they had long hair, but they didn't have any jewelry on.
Also, honestly, maybe I'm wrong, so please, but it feels like their faces are shaped different, and there's a bone that comes out here, and there's something much different about just the face or the jaw or something. And when I saw those videos, I was like, I don't know, man. That kind of looks, it just didn't seem real to me, but I definitely believe that they're out there. You know what I mean?
Madame Tussauds sculpture museum, where they can sculpt your face and your body. I think that those giants were sculpted, like Madame Tussauds stuff, placed in pod-like things, staged. It looks staged.
Yeah.
It looks like the Sumer kings,
the
human Sumer kings from Sumer, from ancient Sumer, Sumerian. That's like the ancient human kings. So somebody really did their work, their research. They staged it, they filmed it, and said it's the giants waking up. And we today we're case in point. Those giants are not walking around. They haven't woken up from stasis. We're not seeing them on the surface.
What about the giant of Kandahar? Do you know that story?
Yes, yeah, that's six-fingered giant with the red hair. These are not the same giants, not the same. These guys are not the same what the U.S. military encountered in Kandahar.
Oh, they're not. Okay.
No. These are different giants. They both have 6 fingers, but these guys are not red-haired. Those were angered and came out because they went into so the U.S. military went into their cavern systems and literally angered them by disturbing their habitat. because they naturally live in those cavern systems. They're not supposed to be walking around on the surface because they'd scare the crap out of people. So the military went in to investigate, what are they doing? What are they doing down there? They're just living down there. It's their natural environment. That's where they live. They got disturbed, and there was a skirmish between the red-haired giants with the 6 fingers and the military, and supposedly they captured one of these red giants to study and hauled it away. And some of the military personnel got killed because they disturbed the giants in their living space. Giants don't like it when you go into their environment and disturb their natural habitat. How would you feel if somebody just broken into your door and came into your house and said, this is my place now, I'm taking you over? Nobody likes that. Nobody wants that. That's how these giants felt. So they responded aggressively. These ones, they don't interact with anyone, human or military. They just travel around with these devices, taking care of business, not to get captured.
Yeah, that's cool, though. I love that. I love that they're out there. And for the record, I do believe the Giant of Kandahar story is real. And for those of you guys out there hanging out in the chat, I believe it's one of those events that's easily accessible within what we might call the pre-existing kind of astral records. I think it's really accessible. It's very, very easy to find and kind of look at it within your own way. It's something that I actually spent a lot of time obsessing on, about a year, or maybe I don't know, maybe more than a year, but it was very accessible, which I don't know, maybe this is a weird statement to throw in here, but it's like I have noticed within my kind of unpolished, untrained, uncertified remote viewing manner that there are a lot of events and sort of things or fragments of stuff that will exist out there that you can quite literally tune into. And it's like Giant of Kandahar is one. I will agree that the existence or the reactivation of the so-called arc ships, that is a big thing that is very palpable. I think that there's elements of the arc ships, which, I'm sure, everyone came up with a greater story now, so no one's really tuning into them, but they are definitely absolutely accessible by our consciousness as well. I think they're part of these records. And do you foresee any further activity with these giants, or do you think they're preparing for any sort of thing? Do you get idea? Or are they just in,
they're
watching this stuff? Go ahead.
They're just minding their own business in protection mode, protecting this tech. They have been disturbed. They were woken up because the planet is heating up. It's becoming warmer. It woke those guys up and alerted them it was time to be on the move, because the military stuff is probing underground, looking for them, looking for other ancient tech like this stuff. So they want the tech, but these guys are guardians. So they were woken up literally from natural hibernation, not stasis pods. They were in natural hibernation, and they're nature giants. So they're connected to the elements, planetary elements. They have abilities of their own to protect themselves.
What do you think caused them to begin to awaken again?
The heating up on the surface of the planet, the change in the environment.
So it was. So climate change caused the giants to reawaken?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's real. That's real.
I'm not saying it's not real. I was just hoping it would be something like some like council of beings, or like the change in the energetic climate on Earth, or something, like involving a Stargate or a portal, or
It was simply time for them to wake up. It was warming up, and it was time they got activated. They woke up. They have a mission, so they're doing their work. I don't make up sensational things that are not there. What is in this?
Dude, I love it.
There. That's all there is. That's the story of these things. And again, as a remote viewer, I cannot change what is or isn't. This is what's there. This is what's there. And I did a previous remote viewing on the giants and the rods. What were the rods specifically?
Yeah.
And Moses and Aaron had similar rods where they can open up the waters.
Didn't the pharaohs have some rods as well?
Yes, they did. Ark of the Covenant stuff and other things, all interconnected. And these giants, they wear some kind of a thing on the bottom, and that's it. They're not top clothed. Yeah. It's like tall, 13 feet, muscly, big dudes moving around, male. And they telepathically connect to each other. I didn't see many female giants. I saw males.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask a really lame human 3D question. I'm sorry. What the hell do they do down there? Do they just sit down there and like chill with these weird objects? Like what do they actually do? What is the, you know?
They just move around and protect the things. I don't really know what they do in their leisure time. That I didn't look into. I just saw the protection of these objects.
That's
I
a
guess
hard
that
life. That's a
yeah, I
hard
guess that's where I was taken, and this is what I saw. I really wasn't focusing on their leisure activities. What got me is that I didn't see females. I saw 3 male giants, and I had only room to draw one of these guys, what they look like, and this is what I drew. Sorry, the head is a little bigger than the body, but
No, I
spatial
get
room
it.
to draw.
Got it.
It's like I had to do the best because with the amount of paper size that I have, this is what I have and this is what I had. And
I
so
feel you.
I drew him to the best of my ability because I'm not that great at physically drawing things.
Yeah.
7 years of art school. I did take 7 years of art school in high school and college and sculpting, professional sculpting classes, but this is the best of my drawing ability to this date.
Yeah.
So I just did the best I could with it. What do you eat?
What
I don't
do
know what they. I
giants-
don't know. I honestly don't know. I wasn't remote viewing that.
Cuttlefish? They eat maybe they eat cuttlefish. I don't know
I
if
don't
that was
know.
an answer, Teresa Berger, but that's an interesting idea. What if?
I honestly don't know. I wasn't the scope of the remote viewing wasn't focused on that, so I don't
Oh,
know.
I know.
This is the specifics. They're guarding this stuff. They're under this mountain range. They're moving around. This is what was shown to me in the perception, and that is what I put down on paper.
I definitely feel it. Like, for the record, I realize I'm like sort of like giving you some awkward, like, what about this? You know, dumbing questions. But like, I want to say, like, for the record, I'm very appreciative and I have great respect for the way in which you kind of present yourself as a psychic, as an experiencer, like all of those things. I think that's one of the reasons why you're able to like last in this sort of social like milieu, you know what I mean? There's an element of authenticity, and it's
well, as a remote viewer, I have to follow the rules and the protocols of remote viewing. This game started at 11 and I had 1 hour to draw it. 1 hour. That's it. That's all I had. This is what came in. I put down the pen and the paper. I scanned it in. I sort of framed it a little bit so you can see a clean thing and not my rough. I mean, this is the rough of it, but it's sort of framed a little bit to give you a better aspect. So it's not just a blank white piece of paper.
It definitely tells a tale, and I realize probably nobody at home can see this on the screen, and they're like, "What? Matthew's showing this drawing, and I can't even read the writing."
No, we can see it pretty well. I can see it pretty well. It's
I never know
good.
if they can, but
it's looking good. As an audience, I see it pretty well.
Okay,
so this was a quick one. It was like I did this in an hour, and then it was a little bit like 30 minutes to clean it up, to frame it, so it's not on a white piece of paper, just blending in like a picture. So I did sort of clean up the edges a little bit. Like when you scan this in, sometimes it takes away the little lines on the edges, so you have to go into editing software and just add in those little lines.
I feel you,
because it looks like the scanner cuts it off. That's the reality of this. And I always scan in the drawn and written stuff. What's done on paper, I always scan it in, and then you have to transcribe the target. You have to do the written portions as well. So there has to be a transcript of this work.
I feel you. I have kind of sort of a final question, or maybe it's not. I don't know, and I'm sure there's many ways to do this, but for those of the people out there, and thank you everyone in the chat that's been hanging out with us, please hit the like button before you leave here, you guys, seriously, if you can. And but that said, for the people out there who are learning how to do remote viewing, who are hearing what you're saying, and they're like, I want to engage in some form of training, or I want to start this practice, how might we be able to recognize when we are seeing a false image, or kind of like we were saying earlier, if something is projected out there, how will we know that we are remote viewing something legit, or something that we're tapping into, like the eighth sphere, false light, collected like consciousness gibberish, like the Ashtar like command stuff. How will those people know, or what can we look for to keep us on a more kind of clear, true path?
Well, if it looks ridiculous and it sounds ridiculous and it's over the top and it feels wrong, it's probably holographic projection, and it is falsely giving you something that's not quite right or halfway right. See, remote viewing is what it is what it is. This is what I felt was real. This is what I felt is happening real time right now on this planet. That's the little snapshot scope I got. This felt real to me. It felt genuine. The energy of it felt 3D world happening now. Yeah. That's how I know the scope of this is real. But I also want to talk to you a little bit about the space opera drama, what we were discussing in the beginning.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
Well, but you brought this topic up, that there's space drama stuff going on within the experiencer, UFO, SSP stuff. So can you get the discussion going?
I wouldn't really call it so much as drama. I would say that I have made an observation over the past year that there seems to be this sort of, to make it really, actually, no, I feel like that's an unfair comparison, but it just seems like there's a coordinated effort not to like do some dark, negative, energetic, like deceptive thing, but what it really is like people are so addicted to like the idea that there are these chosen few that are here to give us these messages, and that honestly, I just feel like Michael Salla is becoming a very, very negative mouthpiece for something that is being controlled and gatekeeped. And it's like, I'm very concerned about it. It really trips me out. And I think people like Ileana Denon are a big part of that, because there's something very strange. And I'm sorry to say this publicly, but I know I'm not the only one. There's something so bizarre and sort of just like, it's like this secret space war narcissistic drama where it's like, now they're a part of this crew that's calling people out, and they're saying this person has an implant, and that person, and those people are okay. And it's like, it's almost like this sort of bully squad of people in this one little, armpit sector of, this, disclosure community, and it feels really toxic. And for the record, you guys, that's what I was talking about when we came in here, is I was just kind of giving my personal views, and it doesn't mean that there's not a lot of truth in kind of what they're selling right now. It just feels like I'm observing, as a professional intuitive that has worked with thousands of people over the earth at this stage, not that that's a badge of honor, because you can work with thousands of people and do a shitty job. Let's be real. But after working within this realm, within the non-physical realms for the past 5.5 years, I believe that I am well qualified, just like everyone, which is to say none of us are qualified, to say these people are gatekeeping and spinning this sort of false light narrative. Because now like what, Enki's coming back. Like for those of you out there that even have a shred of kind of discernment, as soon as your chosen secret space program savior tells you that some ascended master mythical figures are coming back and returning to the earth plane, that should be your moment where you go, wait, what? But yet, and let me just get this out, because I know I'm going on what could be perceived as a negative rant, but I'm saying this from a place of authenticity, and yet I love it. I genuinely enjoy watching the weird sort of game and the interplay between everyone, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Honestly, it looks incredible, but it's like, isn't there anyone else out there that's going like, wait, what? Now what? And now this? And it's like, as soon as they need like security to follow them around at their events, that is when there is something really, really just narcissistic and weird about it. And anyway, sorry, Ileana, I realize I just blasted you with all that.
But that's what you sort of wanted to discuss, my information on Enki and the Annunaki. Like, how did it all get started? Why am I doing?
How did that start?
Okay, so 4 months ago, I saw a vision of the future that Ileana Danan and I would no longer be connected as friends or anything because of this thing that she's doing with Enki and writing this book about the cedars and putting the Enki information in this book, and that it would be controversial and it would divide the energetic scope, and that I would be doing my own research about who are the real Anunnaki, who are these beings, what are they doing now? And it's like, this is going to be a huge saga where the experiences and descriptions of Elena's experiences are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, like the fantasy transformation, Enki, her, the Holy Grail DNA being brought back by Enki to Earth through the lunar space operations, holographic medical pod technology, that the Galactic Federation of Worlds is now working with them, bringing this all back. That's not happening. That's SSP stuff being mixed in with the Enki stuff and, the SSP. That's not happening. Enki's not bringing back the Holy Grail DNA through med beds. It's not going to heal our DNA. Yeah. So this is all reading as the second coming of the Anunnaki, which we were warned about in 2014 by another lady who had supposedly had an encounter with Enki.
Oh, yeah, right.
Lisa Renee. She warned us about this, that these superstars, these speakers in the UFO community and in the New Age community, it was males that were being targeted. Now it's males and females. Ashayana Dean wrote about it the same in the Voyagers books, that she said it's the New World Order and that these Anunnaki are part of that and coming back because they want our DNA, they want our energy, they want to harvest that. Yeah. And I was supposed to do a channeling.
I agree with, by the way.
Yeah. I was supposed to do a public channeling Enki, and Source Creator warned me, if you do this, you will be soul reaped. Your DNA will be collected and your energy will be harvested, and you will be possessed by the essence of Enki energy, the second coming of the Anunnaki. You will be part of this, so don't do it. And why? And I made that channeling public, and this is what launched these videos. Yeah, researching the Anunnaki, writing a 2-part book series about the Anunnaki, the giants, everything connected, what happened 450,000 years ago, who are the real Anunnaki, and what were they doing here, not what's coming. And I don't even believe they look like that, like tall, elongated, bald, slitted eyes, pupils, how Ileana drew this. I don't believe that they look like that. They actually look like what was simulated in that video of the giants. Long hair, black, brown, blonde, green eyes, blue eyes, tall, humanoid, muscly looking, beautiful, attractive, humanoid type beings with off-world genetics. Those are the Anunnaki. Yeah. That's what the Sumerian tablets depicted them as giants looking beautiful. That's what they look like. They still look like that. They don't look like, elongated skull, thin human type being that looks like gray reptilian with slitted eyes. That's what she draws them at. Yeah. This is how she sees Enki. I think it's a holographic projection overlay.
I think it probably is as well. For some reason, and once again, I realize everyone, thanks for hanging out, by the way. I realize I'm being very inflammatory, not necessarily negative, but I'm being intentionally inflammatory here. And I have to be real that it to me, once again, as a person who literally spends every day in some form peering into or interacting with this energy, that feels like the literal definition of the sort of new age lower astral plane psyop. the whole like this god or this being is coming back, and they're this, and we were literally warned. I actually really enjoyed a lot of what Ashiana Dean put forth. I know that her information, people say got corrupted or something. Who knows? I honestly don't care. I know that a lot of people get confused by Lisa Renee. I have been absolutely fascinated by her work, and it's very dense on many levels. And honestly, I guess I'm just at the stage with this whole strange, like bizarre journey where I genuinely enjoy watching it. And I think the more that we can become willing to stop kind of adhering to the pre-scripted timelines of ascended masters and the chosen few and the people that kind of like, it's almost like we're allowing some of these people to dictate a timeline for us in this weird way that to me just creeps me out. And I don't mean that it creeps me out in this sort of like these people, they're negative or evil, because I don't, it's nothing like that.
No.
I just think this is one of those examples where like you will see people are twisting into a literal false light construct of something. And I will say publicly on the record that I think that moments like this, we're going to see them over and over and over again for the next, however many years that you remain in this spiritual soul group disclosure community. You're going to watch a cycle of savior, and it'll go to a certain point, and then something will happen, and it'll fall, and then a new one will show up, and it's like everyone's like, now we're following this, and it's, I don't know, it's such a crazy thing. But anyway, I realize I'm giving all kinds of weird observations.
No,
here.
not at all, because this does read like the second coming of the Anunnaki, inviting them to come in to land. Yes, to land in physical human form with their huge motherships and collect our souls, collect our DNA, collect our energy for whatever agenda they have cooking and going on. That's what I was warned by Source Creator, that they could physically come here if this continues and people actually agree to inviting them in. Don't invite them in, because what you create as a timeline is what you reap and sow as a result, potentially.
Thank you, Alexander. We love you. Sorry to interrupt you. I love you.
Yeah, what you create as a timeline is what you reap and you sow. That is how the information came in and was perceived. So anybody buying into this timeline of this second coming, you reap is what you sow is what you reap, and vice versa. You don't want your energy collected and stolen. You don't want your DNA collected and stolen. You don't want these Anunnaki beings possessing you. They're capable of that. That is their abilities.
Oh, definitely. I think that's part of what's happening with a lot of people in general. Like when people say you get hijacked, it's like a frequency shift happens in the body. It's not even like a layer of implantation. It's like a frequency shift, and you will tune to this whole new frequency that, anyway, not to go on a whole other weird off ramp.
No, you're right. And Ileana is tuned into this frequency at this moment.
Thank you, Lakeside Laura.
She's tuned into this Enki frequency, and he's being portrayed as the father figure, the savior of humanity, the creator of humanity. He's none of those things. He's an Anunnaki being interested in wanting something from us and collecting something from us. This is what I was warned about. So that's why I've been doing all these videos, all this research, talking about Lisa Renee, Ashiana Dean, because they've encountered this stuff and they've talked about it.
And they've literally been talking about what was going to happen now years ago. And it's like, guess what? These things are going to happen. This is how you'll know when it's happening. All these things will happen. And here we are, 2022, and here it is.
It's a little bit later than it was supposed to happen, but it's happening. And I saw this 4 months ago as a potential future event. I'm like, no, this is not going to happen. This is weird. This is like too crazy. Nah. 4 months later, here we are. I'm engaging in exactly what I saw happening. And it's not a self-fulfilled prophecy. I said, I don't want that future. I'm not interested. I'm not doing it. Guess what? 4 months later, didn't believe it. I'm doing it a minute because I don't want this coming to Earth. I'm not interested in people being harvested for energy and DNA.
We're already getting enough mind control at the moment and parasitic frequency entrainment, by the powers that be. And
yeah, we don't need this. This is another layer of them trying to reproduce with humans again if they need genetic stock. That's part of the programming of what they want.
Yeah.
They need new DNA, new breeding cycles. So
Yeah.
that's what Shiana Dean said in the book. They need something from us. They need our energy. They need our DNA. They need physical resources as well. I just don't consent to that, and I don't agree, and I can publicly say I don't. I have the right to say I don't agree with these folks, and they're dragging other people into it, into agreeing with them. And if you don't agree, they block you and ban you and blacklist you.
Oh, totally. Now you're the evil one. It is. I hate to oversimplify and to be so comparative, but for those of us that were hanging out in 2016 and 17, it's like the Corey Good cycle. It will be forever known as the Corey Good celebrity false light, energy harvest, whatever you want to call it, cycle, because it's the same thing. A cult of personality rises up. There's a lot of authenticity, a lot of realness, just enough so all the empaths and everyone is like, I feel it, because you'll feel it. You'll encounter these people. You will literally encounter some of these people in the astral space, and they're literally doing many of the things that they describe themselves as being. But then there's this stage where it's like this frequency takes over, and suddenly it's about like massive merchandising and this cult of personality, and all of a sudden you need security. When did we see that before? Suddenly I'm unsafe. And then after that, then they start to pick and choose, like, well, you're okay and you're not okay. And it's like there's this weird public shaming that happened, and you would know that better than anyone because you got to go through that whole scene back in the day. So it's like, here we are again.
Well, and I can tell you what happened. I sent Corey Good some location coordinates of planetary corp bases on the moon and Mars, as well as lunar space operations, the bases, the facilities. And he's like, yes, you were in the SSP, but you're an abductee by ETs. You were never in these bases inside them. It's like, who are you to judge what is my experiences and what is not in this email?
Yeah.
He said I was a danger to children. I don't do sessions with children. I don't work with children at all. I'm no danger to anybody.
Right. Okay. And so sorry to instantly cut you off, but so you had that experience, right, with Corey Good. I'm sorry to be so out with everyone's names, but who cares? We're talking about public figures, and yet we saw what was her name? The other channeler, she got shamed by Ileana, and that other lady, like, heavily shamed. Suddenly she became evil. You know what I mean? Just like
well, there's some truth to that because this person is controlled by grays.
Really?
Val Nek is demon energy. It is photonic energy. It is not a real living being. Sorry to burst the bubble, but
I don't actually know. For some reason.
Well, I do because I remote viewed them. I'm not going to say this person's name because she's sweet and innocent. She doesn't even realize this is happening to her. I'm not going to say her name because she's not selling anything. She's not pushing it. But that individual's connection to the Val Nek being, that's not real. That's grace. So that was sort of true. Sorry to say that was true.
Interesting. I'm gonna eventually, one of these days, I'm gonna take a closer look. That's just been, how there's certain faces that you'll see go by and you're like, oh yeah, but it's like you never really look into it. And
just the Val Nek aspect. Sometimes when they're doing channeling not connected to Val Nek, it is truthful and resonates in good info. But when the Val Nek thing comes in, great control. Hive mind, queens.
How do you know that the Val Nek frequency or the being is false?
Because I tapped into the Val Nek frequency, photonic holographic technology overlay, presenting this beautiful looking blonde man, this commander in the Galactic Federation of Worlds.
Interesting.
And then Ileana says he was sent off to another planet. He's no longer serving in the Galactic Federation of Worlds in that capacity because the connection was compromised. Connection was compromised because that being is not real.
Yeah.
Remember the holographic false light overlay system you were talking about? This is an example of that.
Yeah.
And I looked at that and I did videos about half a year about this situation.
Yeah.
But I I don't want to mention this person's name
Okay.
because they're lovely as a soul.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the Val Nek situation is a Val Nek situation.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think, yeah, for the sake of not being inflammatory, I will say that I honestly don't know on this one. So, and I'm kind of a weirdo about like, once I look at it, then I'll talk shit about it, but I haven't. So anyway, that said, it does feel like the person you're talking about is tuned into something real. I'll tell you that much. But all that aside, I have noticed that as soon as the channeled entity takes on a very distinct personality and a set of history and this sort of cultivated relationship and this almost very particular voice and manner of speaking and such things, to me, I have noticed that's usually a sign that a frequency has shifted and a person is moving into a stage of what I call portrayal or creation rather than communication. And I think I have just noticed with a lot of people that do channeling, and Bashar is a really good example because he used to be a real being. Now he's literally an echo of the dude's higher self and his consciousness that's going into this echo chamber. And I think that's a thing that happens for a lot of people. And so,
yeah, there's the possibility of losing your soul aspect when you channel so much beings and so much energy. That's why I don't channel publicly. I don't do it as a public thing. I only do it privately sometimes when a client requests it. And I do intuitive channeling with source creators sometimes, but I don't want to lose the personality that the individual self that I am me. I'm very happy with who I am as me. I don't want to lose that individuality. That's why I don't do a lot of channeling. Yeah. I do it only on special occasions when I have questions for source creator. And I just choose to work with the source creator for the most part.
I feel you. Everybody has their own method. I would never consider myself a channeler either, but I have noticed that many messages do come through in the context of a session or an interaction that, at times it could be called that, maybe. I don't know.
Sometimes very positive beings want to give me information, and sometimes I do channel them, but they have to be very high vibrational energetically for me to even consider it. And put protection in it so you're not possessed by anybody or anything. Like Enki is a very powerful being. Ea, their name is Ea, supposedly. It's a very powerful being. There's a lot of power and energetics and can possess human beings with their energy frequency. So in a way, this person is channeling them because they're in their source energy and their soul field vibration. She denies channeling. She does not channel because she says that's dangerous. Yet look what happened to her.
Empathic interfacing is a real thing.
Oh, so is. Beings can come in and do whatever with you. She gave free will consent to connect to this being, to go up on their motherships.
Nice.
She consented free will without knowing what she was consenting to. Because her innocence is very sweet.
I feel like an idiot because I might, I don't know. A part of me is like, well, you know what? I think I'll do it. Why the hell not?
She's sweet.
Same thing.
Ileana.
Sorry to be weird, but I'm like, why not?
Ileana Denon is a very sweet, innocent, galactic human being experiencing things later on in life that most of us experienced in our 20s. So,
I also had a lot of those experiences post 40 as well. So I will feel her on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, she's like a sweet child, galactic child, experiencing things in an adult body. So very sweet and innocent.
Thank you for being real. Thanks for being.
Well, she is sweet and innocent. She's like,
she was great. She was on here. We had a very profound interaction in the astral realm. I'm definitely not saying this woman is fake. By all means, who knows? This video might even make it over to her. Definitely not. I just think there's a coordinated effort to kind of create a timeline and to create some form of like new age celebrity, like exalted ego identity that honestly creeps me out. Dude.
Well, she is being used by Enki. She's literally Enki personified in the energy field that comes in.
Whoa, damn. Boom.
She herself is sweet and innocent. This is why this is so sad that it's happening to her. She allowed this entity, she invited it in, and it's connecting to her, and it's giving her holographic false overlays of experiences that aren't happening that way or at all.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Nibiru is not this light sphere that's parked by Saturn. It's not there. That's
what are you, okay, sorry to instantly change the subject, and I realize we have been here for a while, so hopefully it's okay to go into this.
Yes, let's go.
And you know, maybe it'll be good because it'll kind of pull me off of the inflammatory comment timeline. And let me just say this real quickly. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you, Alexander. I love you. Thanks for that donation. I sincerely appreciate it. And everyone that became a member, I saw you guys. Thank you very much, by the way. But that said, yeah, this is an appropriate channel switch. What's going on in Saturn? Because I've also heard some people, and you know, I don't think everything these guys are saying is false, because a lot of it I will feel it, and it's like a thing you can tell. There's certainly an interaction going on there. There's certainly some form of activity that, or at least in my opinion, there's activity. But go ahead.
Saturn is a place of learning for young souls how to be in physical bodies. Because when we come, a lot of these beings who come into 3D worlds, like our planet, they're from 5D and above. So they're learning how to work with the energy field of the golden light body frequency, how that works in physical bodies. So they go to Saturn to learn that. The Council of Five is responsible for Saturn energy. It's a place of learning and teaching on a higher dimensional capacity. It's not an Annunaki holding that Ileana Denon went to Saturn from this golden white sphere called Nibiru. Nibiru is a colony planet that the Annunaki were given to colonize. One colony on one world. They have many other worlds. That's just one colony. Nibiru is not a sphere that is moving around, parking itself by Saturn. She says she was on Nibiru, went to Saturn, and Enki and the rest of the Annunaki are there. There's no Annunaki on Saturn. Council of Five, learning, teaching. There's this, again, energy, how energy goes into a physical body vessel, and how you still interact with that huge energy field in a human capacity when you're born here. Saturn is like a portal system that certain souls come into and then go to Earth and other planets. It's the entry gateway.
Feel you.
Of life cycle.
I feel you. Adam Marquis says Nibiru is a battle station where ships can dock, not a planet. What do you think about that?
It is a hollowed out planetoid that can travel. It has world engines. Think about it. The Death Star. That's our moon.
Right. Yeah.
That's what Nibiru is. It is a literal planet. It was a terraformed planet that the Anunnaki were given. Go read the Sumerian tablets. What Nibiru is.
Yeah.
History says that it's a planet that is a Death Star planetoid that can move around. It's not a light sphere that parks itself over Saturn. It's a planet.
What if it was a light ship called Nibiru? What if it was, you know how people will like name their boat after some, you know, whatever it is?
I've been on that boat. Been on Nibiru. Physical planet with many different habitats where Niburians are, where other Pleiadians, different habitats where people now come to learn things in a peaceful coexistence together. Originally, it was all Anunnaki owned. Now, not so much. It's been repurposed. Been there 5 years ago.
Nice.
Not a light sphere traveling around, parking itself magically by Saturn, not an Anunnaki holding, and Saturn is certainly not an Anunnaki holding. Nibiru is not purely Anunnaki anymore.
Yeah.
There's other beings living there, other species. An experiment. Can you cohabitate in peace in your various habitats, but having to work together? That is what's on Nibiru. And it's in the Oort cloud. It's far out from Saturn.
Interesting.
That's what it's like.
So it is not the second sun that like people talk about, how they're like, suddenly I got this video and there was this other sun in the sky and it was Nibiru.
It's part of the 12 planets.
What do you think that is though? Like when people see that
Hyperbelt Oort cloud.
Subject. Yeah.
Sometimes we're seeing a overlay of the holographic moon interface. Sometimes we're seeing the second sun. It's like matrix breaking down. You're seeing holographic projection.
Yeah.
Sometimes even into parallel realities. But what are you getting? What is Matthew Mournian getting about Nibiru?
From Nibiru, honestly, that's one of those things that kind of like other things I'm in a little bit of a bubble on, but I can tell you that having kind of peered into it in the past, it feels like a physical construct. To me, I would describe it as either a realm or a sixth density kind of spherical realm that seems to be just out of our reach and is not really on the physical plane. Meaning, if you went to the physical Earth crowd in a little ship named Nibiru, you would not find a Nibiru planet. But if you switch to a different frequency, almost like a channel switch, then it would become a very physical thing. But that's kind of as far as I would be comfortable kind of reaching into it in the now moment. But it feels like it's like when I put my focus on it, I'm like, well, there's something there. I don't know exactly what goes on there, if it's good or bad, but I can tell it's there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I went there to learn about crystal healing.
Yeah. Huh.
Many different species living in their own habitats on this spherical place. But it's not parked near Saturn. Pluto has an Anunnaki base.
I really love Pluto. I don't know why.
1,000 years there. They also have a planetary corp facility there and some weird stuff going on with genetics and manipulation. And very dark energy and very species-driven thing going on. I remote viewed Pluto recently, so it's like a lot of stuff going on. Matthew, what do you get from Pluto?
Honestly, I'll tell you straight up. For some reason, I love Pluto. I feel like I've been there. I feel like I resonate with it. I feel like something about it. I feel Pluto. And here's what's even weirder. I also feel Saturn and Orion in general. And I know everyone's like, oh, dude, that's so negative. But I'm like, I don't know. For some reason, I feel them and I'm like, yes, that's something I can either just resonate with or understand. And it doesn't feel negative. Some people are like, Saturn is Satan, Pluto is the destroyer. You know what? Maybe it is. I don't know. But to me, I've always felt closely aligned with those planets more so than anything else. And I'm sure some of you will peer into that and go, this means something. But for some reason, I love those places.
Well, Saturn is the cradle of life. That's how it feels to me. It's not satanic. Its rings have been used as a communication system for positive communication and negative.
There's the cube, right? There's the cube, which, as far as I can tell, is a literally real thing. It's not it's not a construct of our imagination. No. It's literally real. But go ahead.
Yeah, in Pluto, they have that Lazarus Project, the SSP, Life and Death, bringing back people from the dead. They're doing that on the SSP base, Lazarus Project, and time travel with your mind, going back in time, forward in time, was there part of that project on Pluto.
Yeah.
So that much I know, and the Annunaki base is on Pluto. It's not Enki. They're protecting this timeline so we don't get these incursions coming in from the Ea bloodline. This is what I got.
Yeah, I don't know, something about Pluto, regardless of what's going on there.
Yeah.
I feel that little guy. I understand him.
And Pluto facilitates change. It creates havoc to change everything from upside down to right side up again. Pluto is about, it's a energetic frequency reevaluation, revibration, attunement.
Totally. Death, annihilation, rebirth.
Yes, that's
destroyer.
The great destroyer and the great rebirther at the same time.
Yeah. Let us not forget that part.
Yeah.
Something about that, I don't know. I just feel that guy.
And Saturn is about life cycles, restarting, re-energizing, relearning what we've forgotten, and bringing back things that that need to be remembered.
Yeah.
Titan. Titan is a place where different genetic programs are created to see what species can live on moon systems. There's a lot of water on Titan, actually.
I believe that. That's also a place that feels like vibrationally relevant when people mention it. Another one, and I don't know, sorry to go on this weird, avenue of bizarre repeated questioning, but do you ever pick up anything on Phobos and Deimos next to Mars, because for some reason, especially I think it's Phobos, that little weird shaped moon, it feels very accessible, or rather like something like when I peer out there, I'm like, well, somehow I can find that. I don't know really what's going on there, but what do you know about that?
There's a lot of energy being generated on the little basis on Phobos and Deimos. And I feel that the grays were kicked out of there. There was pockets of grays on both. And Ileana Duran had talked about them being kicked out. That resonates to me like they were kicked out.
Yeah.
Because they were hiding in pockets. And the bad ones were kicked out of there because the positive beings on both those moons don't want gray activity interfering with their energy building projects. Like energies, like building new planets type of energy. Energetic frequency. That is what I'm getting from Phobos and Deimos.
Huh. Interesting.
What are you getting?
I get a lot of Russian activity, a lot of like European languages, what feels like a meeting place or a hollowed out area that doesn't have necessarily a lot of activity, but has in the past. I guess that would be, from a limited viewpoint, in resonance with the idea that some sort of grays or energy had been cleared out of there. But for some reason, when I look at Phobos, it feels more military related. And maybe that's me looking at what we would call like an SSP faction. But for some reason, when I look at it, the feeling I get is those people are not, it's like I would call it Russian in general, which maybe that's a bizarre, I don't know. That's just what I get. So, yeah.
What do you get from Deimos?
It feels like a lot less of it is hollowed out than we would think. It's like a smaller, it feels like it's in general less active and more observational. But yeah, anyway.
Both.
I hope that makes sense.
No, but both moons are working on energy production. Like 0 point technology. They're retrofitting something. They're creating something new energetically. That's a new vibrational system of some sort. Not sure what they're going to use it for, but it's very powerful.
Yeah. For some reason, they feel relevant and accessible by human consciousness. Like I've just noticed certain places where I'll kind of like view them in my own way, completely untested, untrained, and uncertified manner. And I will sort of lean into them. And it's like places like that are accessible. What's another one? Actually, somebody asked about, I saw it go by in the comments. Sorry to keep you here so long. How you doing, by the way?
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do a couple more and then we're good.
Yes.
And then we'll end this crazy inflammatory live stream. There we go. I knew it was here. What do you feel when you tune into Neptune?
Poseidon's trident is on Neptune.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of sacred artifacts. So it was hidden on Neptune in some of their temples. So the negative dark ones wouldn't get it here on Earth, who are after this stuff, like the Ends, the Nazis. Mm-hmm. Yes. They were looking for tridents, kind of like staff, if you want to call it a staff, because it could literally shift poles, change water, create tsunamis. Yeah. That's trident staff. So it was taken off Earth and put on Neptune for that. Neptune is a place for holding artifacts that are very powerful.
Interesting.
Anything that threatens planetary alignment, planetary systems, it goes to Neptune for safekeeping. These temples, and there's like spheres that show you your life force energy, your future, your past. And so when I was there, that's what I had to look at, those things. A lot of ancient languages, an archive of histories stored there, planetary histories.
Yeah.
And some arc ships on Neptune.
Very interesting. Thank you. Thank you for Neptune. Neptune has been another one that it feels, I wouldn't call it accessible, meaning that it's like easily grabbed onto by me, but it feels as though it is definitely inhabited in a physical sense, meaning there's a very physical presence. When I look at places like what I would describe as the energy of, let's say, Jupiter, which doesn't feel like that big of a deal overall, but when I look at that, it feels like it's definitely not, it's not in a physical density for a while. It's like even the people that are kind of rolling through in a whole other frequency will regard Jupiter as very much what we would describe it. It's not necessarily fully on our physical plane, but Neptune feels like something that is more dense. And I know that's a super basic description, but it feels densely packed and still physical, very much like Venus as well, where it's like and it's like that's a very densely packed, physically real place.
Went to Venus recently, saw the Venusians excavating an arc ship, like with this energy pyramid, extracting the arc ship, blue arc ship, silver type blue arc ship, with the energy
Why
of the
are those
pyramid.
so active right now?
Well, they're trying to rebuild the domes on the surface, because the dome structures where they lived, they were almost destroyed by some kind of a natural catastrophe, something hitting them and destabilizing the structures of the protective domes of the city. So they went underground. Now they're coming back on the surface to rebuild, and they're extracting the ancient arc ship stuff because they don't want it buried anymore for other factions to get a hold of. So they're trying to clean it up. And there was something else that was asked about another moon, Europa, I think.
Yeah, there was. Where did it go? Yeah. What do you feel about Europa?
I feel like it's some kind of a training facility, SSP related, another ET negotiation training to learn about ET cultures, about other species, especially exotic ones. So there's training facilities on Europa. Yeah. Humans and ET based connected together.
I feel
what it. Do you think?
Europa to me feels like a human outpost, but just that's like the first thing that I pick up from it. It feels like there would be more. To me, there feels like a higher quantity of just human consciousness there than other places. And I know it also has a lot of focus from our collective consciousness here through like various other filters. And I think that's because to me in general, it feels very, very human. I'm sure there's many races there. You're probably going to know a lot more on that one, but
like interaction, starting to learn about different humans, learning about different ET species, and like making first contact on these facilities, humans interacting with the ETs and working in exchange programs, learning about each other. Like first contact happening. This is like the beginning of the first contact experiment on Europa.
Interesting.
What do you get about Venus?
In general, it feels like there's a lot of ruined kind of physical structure. And while I would say it feels like human consciousness, it feels much more what I would call as extraterrestrial or non-human. It feels like there's a lot of non-physical kind of higher density beings that inhabit that space. If I was to talk about like what feels physically inhabitant there, to me, it feels much more underground in general. It feels subterranean. But I would call it just much more ancient and extraterrestrial in nature rather than human. But also when I do look at Venus, it feels like it has a very important relationship with the creation of kind of our world as well. And so, maybe that's me looking through too many different, surface level lenses, but
no,
I don't know if that makes sense.
You're spot on, because I had remote viewed Venus several years ago, and I interacted with the blue beings, humanoid looking blue beings on Venus. Yeah. I was shown a lot of different things and definitely artifacts and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. So many planets are not what they seem, not what NASA is telling us and showing us. That's for sure.
I agree.
Well, I think it's been a good one.
You literally read that. Oh my, that was one of those moments. Okay, everybody that is watching, that is a literal moment of telepathy, because my next literal word was like, thank you. I was like, so thank you. We just literally shared that moment together. I appreciate
I think we got everything we wanted in a nice, cordial manner,
and probably
respectful.
a lot more. Probably.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so just show respect, be kind, be loving, and even if you're discussing topics of what we're discussing, as long as it's done in respect, this is what matters.
People have to be able to be authentic and to talk about things. And I just know that because for the record, all those that are going to judge this live, this is much more my views than yours. And I said a lot more inflammatory things, so they can all judge me and they already hate me. So it's fine.
Well, no.
Hold on. I just think it's very important for us to be able to talk about things authentically and out in the open. And the more we can do that, the more we develop discernment and a whole number of other things. But anyway, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, this is not about hate. I don't hate Ileana, Danon, Michael Sala, or anybody else. It's about the facts of reality and what they're bringing in as energy that is not so high vibrational or for high is good. This is the point here. That's why we're discussing this. It has nothing to do with hate. I don't hate them. They're people having a human experience, just like everybody else in this world. But is it for our highest good what they're selling us? Are we buying it or not? I choose not to buy in or sell that agenda. It's a psyop. So we're just talking from a perspective of learning and teaching of reality and going beyond just normal reality here to understand this stuff.
I feel you on that. I definitely do. And I think the only thing I will add is that myself and many others have noticed how quickly the ascension celebrities come and go. There's only so long in your cycle of celebrity, and eventually people develop discernment and move past the consciousness gateways that are greatly infecting our community. But it's part of the process, and I've greatly enjoyed it. And anyway, thank you for showing up and being here. Is there anything you want to mention before we roll out the door? Do you have any events or stuff that people can join you in?
I'm going to be on the Alien event December 3rd. So if anybody still wants to join that, they can. And it's live streamed and it's online webinar. It's interesting. Good guests, 7 people. Again, I'm not a celebrity.
What's the
alienevent.com. If somebody still wants to sign up, they could. Again, I'm not a celebrity promotioner or celebrity, so it's like I'm very humble about these events, but it's coming up. So if anybody wants, they could still join in. And I think why you and I are still here, because we're not part of the celebrity groupie.
Definitely not. I think I made a choice really early on that I would rather be raw and authentic than real than polished and famous. And you know what's weird is, like, as a result, I have been the one that's on the sideline doing all the work, watching everything come and go. And I think that's how it is for a lot of us. We're going to be the ones actually doing the work, watching the games of portrayal that we see on the screen going, really? Maybe. I mean, yeah, I guess. But yeah, so to me, it's the best place. It's the best place I can be. But
yeah, and I have the ability to just be neutral and talk about it all and what I'm seeing, hearing, understanding, and just report on it as a researcher. And not just an experiencer, because I could do. Yes, thank you, Aurora. Wonderful. Yes.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good. And we got this one too. I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, neutral perspective. For me, this is fascinating as a researcher and an experiencer and an SSP asset. From all of those things that I've done and learned, like, it's fascinating to watch this stuff unfold, comment on it, discuss it, openly, freely talk about what's happening, and not do any gatekeeping about truth and seeking the truth.
Yeah.
Open-mindedness. Like, we're here discussing this because I feel free that I can confidently talk about it and not
totally. Hell yeah, you can.
And not bash it or not anything. Just discuss what's happening, what's real, what's not, why.
Yeah. That's how we roll at the multi-dimensional trailer park. Not that many people want to hang out here. It's a little bit like a moped. Fun to ride until your friends see, and then you're like, yeah, anyway, you know what I mean? So yeah,
I'm all for a fun ride and a good time, and to just go off the beaten path and explore life. Why not?
Thank you. We're definitely keeping it weird. And with that, thank you for showing up. I look forward to hearing more about your adventures and what you've discovered out there. And I hope you guys will take a moment. Please do check out, subscribe to her channel. She does lots of videos, all kinds of stuff going on over there. And maybe even check out Alien Event. And I'm going to go ahead and pull you off screen here for a moment as we slide out. But and in the meantime, thank you everyone else. A lot of you guys already know this, but we're going to be back on Saturday. We're going to be doing kind of just a solo live stream. It's primarily about readings. And just kind of doing a little bit of a psychic Q&A and ranting about strange things. Probably will not be nearly as inflammatory as this live stream. So, you know, if you're in the area, roll through Saturday. I believe it is at 8 p.m. I want to say 8 p.m. Eastern. And also, please do check us out at Starseed Adventures coming up in a couple weeks. In the meantime, please do subscribe to this channel. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to this channel. And I want to thank our new members. I know we had Lakeside Laura. I know a Hopeful Art as well. I saw you guys. There might be others. I want to thank Alexander for your donations and everyone else is hanging out. I really, really sincerely appreciate your support. And but yeah, join us on Saturday. We're also going to be talking about Conscious Life Expo, which, sorry to bring that in at the end, but Conscious Life Expo is coming up in February, and we're going to be there as well. And so we'll just be talking a little bit more about that. And in the meantime, we're going to prepare for Starseed Adventures, and we'll see you guys in a few days. Boom, there it is. Find us there. You'll find out if I'm a clone or not. Turns out I'm actually 4'11". Who would have thought? It's like I'm way smaller than you would have thought. Maybe that's why we're so weird over here. But I love you guys, and we'll see you in the future. Stay out of trouble, everybody, and just keep your discernment filters high. We're in the stage of many phantoms and strange revelations, and so watch what shows up at 3 a.m. in the morning. You never know. It might be yourself. And so